Warning, please do not attempt to replicate the toy destruction you see in this video at home. Leave this sort of work to the professionals. Well, hello there, this is Disney Planes Dark Side episode 2, and the toy that we have in camera here, is it Dusty, Rusty or Krusty? I keep getting it wrong. I think his name's Dusty Crobhopper or something. It was a $12 toy, and just look at the way it's presented, look at the boxing there. Do you remember about this toy? I showed it in a video not long back. It was actually a toy that I purchased at a post office. It wasn't my local post office, but a post office in Australia. Now, apart from this toy, there was all sorts of other knockoff toys there, Thomas stuff. It was quite a haul of different things I got from this Australia post office. And I've got to ask myself, what is an Australian post office licensed shop doing with these rubbish toys for sale? That's the info underneath the box. I believe it's a bump and go toy. I do have some assembly to do. And a hallmark of these styles of toys is the very strange reads and spelling of things that you see on the box artwork. Coming in for the unboxing, I've just read online that Australia Post's profit before tax was 1.4 million. Was this sort of sale part of the way they got the profit? Okay, Rusty is out of box. I've got to get one of these things out of here. There's the body. I've got a bit of assembly to do. His little tail piece has fallen off, but it goes in there. I've got to slap the wings on, and I've also got to put the those bits, the tail plane pieces on as well. As for the feel of this, I put it this way, I felt worse. I dare say the lights come and shine up through there. There are lights on this toy. It probably looks spankingly good through camera, doesn't it? It's got that little bit of detail there, which is a piston and spanners as crossbones. And I've had arguments with people about that. The real artwork should be a piston with spanners like skull and crossbones. It looks like it's got fluctuating eyes. It'll be interesting to see. The wheel on the back there, obviously got to slap some batteries in. And that's the bump and go doodah right there. The battery compartment, it's a bit unusual. It does have wheels attached. There was a toy recently I looked at which had that same feature. I think it was a fire engine. I think it takes 3 AA batteries. And the batteries I'm using at the moment, the Kirkland brand, is what you buy at Costco. Some of these batteries are burnt and dented. If you go back a few videos on my channel, you'll understand why. They'll probably get even more dense after I finish with this Krusty, Rusty, Dusty. I just say them all now, the names, because I know I'm going to get it wrong. I cannot remember this guy's name properly. I've made sure the toy's off, and I do wonder what noise this critter's going to make. One thing I notice is this keeps falling out. I'll tell you what, it actually does look like a good version of Krusty Rusty, doesn't it? Just stick the wings in. I think I can do it like that. Should hear a clip sound or something, shouldn't I? There we go, there's one wing in, and we'll come around and do the other wing. Just push it against my body here. Okay. Well, I cleared the boxes out of here. I've got my bump and go circuit set up. You could use that box there as a school project diorama, but that's about it. Nothing else is really worth anything in this. We'll give Krusty, Rusty, Busty his first flight, and the switch is a bit annoying under there, but we'll get it. And his little tail plate that keeps wanting to fall off. Okay, engine start sound. He's getting stuck on my bump and go. Come on, Krusty. Little bit of fluctuating movement there, and he's stuck again. What's he getting hung up on? There he goes. Come on, do your bump and go thing. He's not very sprightly, is he? And someone will name that tune for me. I dare say that DMCA, once it's landed, will also tell me what the tune is. $12 from an Australia Post store in Australia. What do you think? Did I get my money's worth? Do you think the Disney company would be quite happy about that? I really do wonder. I really do wonder. There's a bit with the lights out, so you can just see how spectacular it is in the dark. I think it's more spectacular in the dark than it is with the lights on, to be honest. Well, Rusty Krusty has got a new challenge in life, and he's trying to get into it already. I'll just turn him off for a second because he's highly annoying. Highly annoying. I think what I'd like to do is fill this toy up with as much silly sludge as I possibly can. Add some magic poo in because it's got magical properties, as we've seen in previous videos. and just see how he can fly when he's full of that stuff. Yes, it is rather annoying how pieces come off this toy so easily. And before we do completely obliterate this Krusty, let's just take a very close look at the details on this. I'll probably drill a hole in the back here to get the sludge in. It does look like the real toy, doesn't it? I wonder if it's ripped off something that Disney made. It says the smile under there. There's that hallmark. I've had arguments with people about what that is on the real toy. They say it's going to cause more arguments. And propellers there, of course. I mean, this just feels like it's going to break very easily. That is curiously powered. Looks like there's a shaft running down from the middle of the toy up to the front. But as I said, when we open this up with the slime, we're going to understand exactly how Krusty works. I'm just having a second thought here. Maybe I'll fill this toy up from underneath, take away the bump and go wheel. I like to take those off. I like to keep them running electrically if I can. But sometimes the sludge gets in there and basically fouls up everything. I think that's an easy way to get the stuff in. Well, Dusty, we've loaded you with some very special fuel. You've always wanted to go faster, haven't you? Well, most people wouldn't believe me until I showed you this. There's Dusty down to the ground there. He still works. The Adventures of Dusty Slime Hopper. Well, I'll come along and recover this and get it back up on the table. There's his fluctuating eyes. They're not fluctuating much now, are they? I've never ever had that happen before. It's a first. I'll try and keep it running. It's a first. Guinness Book of Record explosion, that one, I tell you. Ooh, yeah. And arriving back up onto the table. Maybe we'll learn something from this. I've got to do that or I'll be flagged. I've recovered all the pieces up off the ground. Yes, it is still running. That is like a plane's miracle, isn't it? All up, there were 2 tubs of silly sludge in that explosion. And what is that telling us about this little toy plane once we've blown it apart with silly sludge? Can you see a story that's starting to develop there? Let me just turn this off so you can hear me. That's better. When I was much younger, and still to today, I used to love that TV show Air Crash Investigators. There was a gentleman who was on that, he's probably a bit older now, called Greg Fife. He would turn up to a crash site and they would have to determine from wreckage like this what has happened to this plane. Okay, let's just assume we are air crash investigators. We have turned up to the scene. You've been told it's a bombing, so you understand that fact. But going by the wreckage here, you're going to be able to tell exactly where the charge is put and the magnitude of the charge. For the fact the fuel was silly sludge, well, what can you say? I used to love watching that show, Air Crash Investigators. I sort of thought that was a dream job. I thought to myself, wow, I'd love to be like Greg Fife one day. But in the end, guess what I ended up being? Someone who plays with silly sludge on YouTube. Just taking a look at the components, of course, that's the battery component. That there is the sound chip there. That's where all the sounds are emanating from. It's still sort of all functional. The motor is there. It would have had a shaft on it. I believe that is a shaft there that went up to the propeller. And I think that shaft is also functioning the little wheels underneath. The speaker is hidden up there, emanating sort of, it's weird. There's sort of no holes coming out for the speaker, which I don't quite understand, but it is a knockoff toy. What else is there about this toy? The fluctuating eyes, I'm not exactly sure what mechanism was on that. It'll be here somewhere. There's another shaft and something there. Maybe that was a fluctuating eyes bit. There was also pieces like this, which I dare say as mechanism. There's bits of bobs of bits of things like that. Of course, the propeller has come off in one piece. A bit more of that stuff there. I dare say that is connected to that. In fact, let me just come in and try and pull this plane back together. Okay, maybe we can make some sense out of the nonsense that I'm showing on screen here. That is obviously the front of Dusty there, and as we crawl back, we see some larger parts there, but we see a whole bunch of smaller parts in this area here, and guess what? The explosive charge is basically right here down near the bottom. And that has completely turned all that area there into basically little tiny bits and bobs. There's also telltale little scorch marks that explosives leave. And that's the sort of thing air crash investigators look for to tell a story of what's gone wrong. But this plane demise was easy to find the parts because it blew up on the ground. Sometimes planes blow up in the sky, the parts can fall into the ocean, or they can be scattered all over the ground. And often aircraft crash investigators rely on the black box to find out what happened. That is, if they can find a black box, that is, if it still works. Let's see if this critter can turn back on if I can find the switch. Well, we better leave Dusty here and his bits and bobs. I hope you learned something from that. If you didn't learn anything, please don't blame me. Our next bit of Disney nightmare, it's a real mixed bag. This one, it says super planes, but if you take a bit of a look in there, well, I can see a train, I can see Disney cars characters. Where's the Disney planes in that one? This miraculous toy, you can see that it cost me $9.99. You might as well call that $10. It's got artwork here which alludes to the fact we're dealing with Disney planes, but I really got a question. What is the message in the toy like this? Is this just a grab bag of things to get children's attention to say, "Mammy, I want the toy"? But on the back here, I can see a whole ton of artwork related to Disney planes, which really doesn't relate to anything I saw on the front. On the edge of the box, I can see, well, artwork and names of the Disney planes characters. That's going to help me. Coming in for the unboxing, I've always had that conspiracy theory that Disney planes and Disney cars are going to one day unite. Because I see it all the time in the knockoff toys. It probably looks half decent and impressive when you look at it through the camera like this, doesn't it? But it's once you get up close you start to realise exactly what you're dealing with. The very common style of little toy train, this one. And the artwork on there is quite curious, and the face, that face is doing me in. I've never ever seen anything that evil before in my life. It's almost too evil that I may want to save that one. I don't know why. That's the tender there, the caboose, the brake van as we call it in Australia. Double tender. Does that make any sense? Okay, what was that one? That's a tender, isn't it? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Well, it's got an extra bounty of coal because it's got a long way to go. And then we've got Disney cars characters here. Yeah. I don't know. It's just very, very strange the way this one's done. I don't know whether that's a purple-eyed Sally. I'm not that questionable. I've got no idea who that is. Obviously, something to do with England. Don't know that one either. I know the Cars fans will know, even though this is a Disney Planes one. I've got a mental blank. That's like the secret agent guy. It actually looks half decent, doesn't it? But please, don't get too excited. And look at this. Welcome to the dark side. Look at that. Welcome to the dark side. Okay, that's what you're dealing with. Looks amazing, doesn't it? But when you just pull it out of the box, it's broken. It's got pullback motor in there. There's Lightning McQueen. Okay. Please, you know, look at that Sticker Friday, big time. Welcome to the dark side again. And we've got some very, very strange things here. One of the few things, apart from another, well, bits of the tenders that relates to planes, it's that flat car there, but I've never seen anything like that before in these styles of knockoff trains. Just give me a moment and I will set this nightmare up on the table. How many times have I said what really makes the train set nice is how much straight you get with it. You only get these two very short pieces of straight with this train set. And I was thinking back to a previous video I did, a dark side one. Was a Disney Cars one. And I had that black stuff there. Does it actually fit into this yellow stuff? I think this is just all the generic knockoff sort of track. Yes, it does fit. So what I'd like to do is add some of this black track into this yellowish orange track here. Well, are you impressed with what you see on the table there? You shouldn't be. I've sort of worked out what the flat cars are for, or I think I've worked out what they're for. I believe you would put a Disney Cars character on there, and actually I just remember that's Finn McMissile. Sorry, Cars fans, and I'm sure someone would have corrected me by now, and I'll put on, I don't know, this English guy on here. He's probably got a name, but I can't remember it. Now, my biggest fear here is that with all that there, and I'm just going to feel the weight of this, who knows, is that little fake train going to be able to pull that round? I've got to put a battery in this, and I suppose we will soon find out. I've seen lots and lots of these styles of toys come through. As you could imagine, this could easily be a Thomas the Tank and another version of a Dark Side toy. I can't keep my eyes off that face. The artwork on this is, well, you'll probably fine. Some people will get quite excited about that. The biggest problem with these toys is quite simple, and that's the fact that they have bits that come off very, very easily and present big time choking hazards. Let me get a battery into this and we'll just get a feel for what power lies inside this. Get my battery in there, and sometimes these work and sometimes they don't work, which is normal dark side activity. Maybe I've got to give them a bit of a bang on the table. There we go. Live on camera, that one, boys and girls. A bit of a bang and it's up and running, and I think I understand why now, because of the way I think this would be designed like that other knockoff one from a few videos back, if that makes any sense. The Cars one, I hope it was a Cars one. They're very similar, I think, inside as Trackmaster 2 in the way that they're a very simple sandwich design. Okay, let's give it a go. You make any predictions? I haven't run this yet. Do you think it's going to pull us along? Who knows? I think it's going to crash. It is only just pulling that train along. As unimpressive as that looks, some may be impressed by that. I'll just do a couple of beauty shots for you, for the train fans. I know there'll be some train fans lingering around in these videos. I'm not sure if you can see what's going on there, but I think that back wheel is just, well, getting some traction. It's doing a lot of spinning around and not really powering the train, and like I thought, this train really can't handle the load that it's got on there. And from what I can see, and I've seen this so often with these toys, that train is getting slower and slower. They're just not matched to the current that they pull from those batteries. That's a very, very common problem I see. It just keeps getting slower and slower and slower, and considering the evil face on this thing, you know what? Oh, look at that, that's everything this one does. I'm actually feeling rather evil. I think I'm going to try and blow this train up as it's going around the track. There's one thing I've noticed about this train, that when it tips over, because of the way the couplings work on this train, it tends to want to stay together. So maybe if I blow this train up, we might see it when it blows up. We'll see it jump up into the air a bit and drag other bits along. But hey, I don't know until I actually come along and blow it up. Okay, this is the scenario. I have got like a little bridge like I've done before when I've blown up these styles of trains. I've got the cars around where hopefully the train will blow up. I'm not sure whether this train is actually going to make it round and go over the little bit of elevation that the bridge pulls into this set. Here it comes. We'll see if it'll go over the little bridge. It'll blow up somewhere there. This may or may not work. It's actually quite tricky shooting a moving target like this. Anyway, let's do it. Well, this blast really is a case of planes, trains, and automobiles. Well, I think I got the train that time. That's a train wreck. That was a very nice looking explosion, very beautiful, and I think I got the spot where I exactly wanted to get. That car there was on the ground. Not much stuff was blown onto the ground, but the explosives really only had one way to go. The easy way out isn't back through the table. The easy way out is up through the train, and from what I can see, this train has been devastated. There's bits of it everywhere. Let me get all the bits together here, because that's going to tell us a material science story, and without that, well, I'm going to get flagged. And I should gather the cars. They all have a witness on them as well. They tell a story, especially Mater's backside. Look at that. Toasty. Well, from this Disney Cars, Planes, Trains train wreck, can we learn anything? Well, I hope we can. Let me take a look at this part first. Okay, this is an important part to look at, because this really tells us the story of exactly where this train was hit. Of course, that's the battery compartment. The battery's been fried up and was thrown out. That battery's actually on the ground. Like Trackmaster 2, very simple design, isn't it? It's all just what I call the sandwich connections, where when the train gets put together, the connections are made, and I could almost sort of rebuild this, hopefully. Mind you, I can't really put that on properly, because the back of the electric motor got blown away, so the electrical connections are gone. And I would say it was that way around, because I'm saying that because that piece of metal has been pushed up that way. I think the blast has come up underneath the train and gone whack right there. Okay, and I can keep building this, I hope. I think the wheels would go somewhere here. I think this part here, I hope I'm right here, goes over that part there. I don't know how dodgy this is going to look. So yes, I'm building it up, okay. That's the back of the train. Okay, you're starting to get a feel for how this went back together. We're getting a bit more of a feel of exactly where the explosives went off. And yeah, like the air crash investigators, people who come in who are bomb experts would start to say, okay, I can see what's happened here. I can see exactly the spot where this explosion has happened and destroyed this train. I don't know whether I've got any more parts. I couldn't find any parts of the back of the motor. They may have been completely obliterated, but hopefully from that we learn something about material science, and maybe I can keep building this up. If I got that piece there, okay, I think that goes in like that. I can't get that little thing up there. I think that's something like that. Okay, so you can see the charge has really hammered this area here. Wow, I'd hate to have been near that. That piece there, I think, would have resided there. It's a fantastic look. I think it was a very, very pretty explosion. I like the way it blew up, and look at that face there. There was one side of me thinking, oh, should I keep this train because it's so wacky, or should I just give it a nice hard whack of a bang? I think we all like to see things just go. I know my son does. I put those little Cars characters around, or I call the epicenter where the blast is. Of course, that was the back was facing the blast. That was at the front. So was this guy. He got pushed onto the floor, so he's got a burnt backside there. Starts to give you an insight into that little moment of heat that happens when these events happen. Very brief, but it still burns. Okay, that guy was at the back of the train. Once again, he's got a fried backside, and of course, Mater was another one who was at the back. Sort of kooky looking, but hey, Mater's fun, isn't he? And look at that, he's got a burnt, fried, crispy backside, and he actually has sustained. Look at that, he sustained a bit of damage. Oh, welcome to the dark side. Mind you, that was the explosion that got him. So something at high velocities come along and hit the back of Mater here and ripped that piece off there. Sorry about that, Mater. You're looking very second-hand. As for the rest of this Disney planes, cars, trains thing, it was basically unscathed. But I can set it up, and I think I know exactly where that train blew up. It was somewhere around there. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I should possibly show you the pulled backness of these toys. They've got little pulled back motors in them. Very, very common style of knockoff toy in a sense. But please don't be impressed by this, and don't think that I'm trying to sell these up. These toys are illegal. As impressive as they look, they're just nothing but rubbish. They only disappoint children. In fact, they are killers, and I'll show you how. Look at that. Axle's off. I can get the other wheel off there single-handedly. Look at that. Both wheels off the axle. Now, if a child swallowed these pieces here, in particular that shaft there, it's game over. These toys are children killers. What do you know about this horror toy isn't really fully destroyed. Sure, I've blown up the locomotive there, but I can see a lot of other boogie here that needs to be tidied up, especially the rest of this train. I'm thinking about a Disney Smoothie. To make my Disney Smoothie, enter one Lumina ALDI Blender, which was $19. On my channel, I've had a history of going through a number of blenders. I think I just buy the cheap ones now. I've written off the cheap ones. I've written off the really expensive ones. My Blendtec had one Mallard train, toy train, go through it, and it was destroyed, much to the surprise of my audience. This beautiful ALDI Blender comes with a quick start guide. Well, because I'm a man, I don't read that, get rid of it. Comes with an instruction manual, again, because I'm a man, don't read that. And it comes with a 1-year warranty, so when I put a toy through this and it gets blown up, well, I can send it straight back. Mind you, if I read the fine print here in the warranty, there is a set of exclusions which may stop me from making a claim. This $19 blender has a wonderful glass jug. It's got a control knob that feels a little bit, well, shouldn't say anything, should I, boys and girls? But I think the weak link in these blenders, as I've seen over and over, ends up being this area here, which joins down to the motor, or sometimes the part that goes up to the blade can fail. But I shouldn't say anything too bad, because this blender may go on to last for a very long time, but you know what? I seriously doubt it. Before I load the blender up, what I will do is I'll just give it a quick spin and see how it sounds. Yeah! Ooh, feels like a powerful one. Oh, I'm sort of thinking I might just put the cars in first. Okay. Wow, and they go. And there's Mater and whoever else here also needs to go in. I think it'd be too much if I try to put everything at once. Okay, ready for the smoothie? Some silly sounds. Oh yeah, that's actually minced up quite nicely. Well, let's add some trains into this. Oh, look at that, car smoke. Don't breathe that, but we're going to get some more stuff in here. For a while there, it actually sounded like the blender was starting to fail, but it's kept chugging along, no pun intended. And I'll just get these little bits and bobs as well. Want to make sure we get all the stuff down there. See how I mounted the GoPro there? Just that poster tack, blue tack stuff. Miraculous stuff, I use it all the time. Yeah, okay. Ready for our second blend. Now the train out, it's going to be even more awesome. Woo, 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 woo. I think I better give it a big shake up. Yeah, sort of a bit of a lock up down there. I think I know what's going on. I've sort of seen this problem before. Because of the shape of these blenders, if there's something big, it basically gets lodged up the top here. I might have to give this a bit of a shuffle around so we can keep on blending. Not sure if it's going to work or not. Maybe that might get it going better. Well, I don't know if you can hear me, but this is quite a troublesome blend. It has blended for a very, very long time, and I'm just trying to get it to blend the rest of this out. I just found if I turn it on and off, I'll get a bit more action, but I'm not having much luck with this one. Mind you, that blender sounds like it's getting a bit hot. Sounds like it's starting to fail, actually. Yeah, it's not sounding very good at all. I think this blender's about to die. I can see smoke coming out the back there. There's a bit of a whiff of smoke. Oh, no. Oh, I don't know what. Oh, crap. I don't know what that was, but it made a horrible, horrible sound. Well, that's the top of the inside of the blender. I put like a glass lens to protect the GoPro. That has actually survived every blend that I've done, which is quite miraculous. Well, I better come in and do the pour shot. It twists like that to come off. Okay, well, remember the part I was talking about before where they fail? Fancy that, eh? Okay, better get this right. Disney cars, planes and trains, smoke. Definitely don't breathe that. There's the blade to this brand new blender, and if I take a look at the other end, we'll see more damage. There we go. Look at that there. There's been a lot of heat there, hasn't there? And I think the heat's what's killed it. Yes, another cheap blender, straight to the bin, first blend. But this blender actually, it was running for many minutes. It may have been like a 5-minute blend before it started to destroy itself. So I really did punish this, I'll have to admit. And normally you don't put that sort of stuff into blenders. But hey, you know, it failed where I expected it to fail. Okay, that's the very common thing that I see with these styles of blenders. And from one train wreck and looking over to another one, it is a spectacular pile of very minced up, nasty knockoff toys. I think the train parts just choked it up. Those blenders, they really need liquid in them to make them work properly. And once really all that stuff there was at the bottom protecting the blades, in a sense, this other bigger stuff just couldn't get down near the blades. No matter how much shaking or moving or buffing I did, I couldn't get those parts down. I don't think you're going to recognise any of the Disney cars. They got really minced up. It looks like miniature rubbish, doesn't it? I love the look of that. There's a bigger piece there, get rid of that there. It's one of those flat cars that I was impressed with. I'm not impressed with them now. But I tell you what, I do love the look of that. And if you're ever after like a miniature look of a rubbish dump, I think that's a great way to create one. Well, I've got to have some sort of educational element or else people get very narky these days. Sort of sad, isn't it? I do like the axles here. Look at the way the axles are. The axles from little cars, they've all been peppered up and marked, and sometimes little pieces of metal like that can actually explode the jug, so I'm a bit wary of metal inside these blenders. But hey, I'm actually very pleased with what I've got there. Ah yes, Disney planes, hey? This is one of the worst sets that I've found. That's meant to be rusty in there, or dusty, whatever his name is. Take a look at that. I'm not going to pull it out of its packaging. You'll understand why. There is like a Lightning McQueen there, but it's not. I don't know why these ever get even bought by people, let alone people trying to sell them. One of the worst I've seen. I don't know how it relates back to Disney planes or Disney cars. It's got some dark side reeds on here as well. The back is even less impressive because it's in black and white, so it's like the lowest of the low end. $7, you can see I paid for that, and maybe we can learn to count with this here. And today we're going to learn how to count to 12 with the great help of Mr. Hammer. You never knew Mr. Hammer was good at teaching maths, did you? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And he may have to do a number there again. Number 1 again. Oh yes, Mr. Hammer can be a very handy teaching aid when learning to count from 1 to 12. Or maybe after Mr. Hammer's astonishing lesson there, we can come along and unbox this beauty. Coming in for the very random unboxing. This one's going to be messy. Oh, Mr. Hammer, you did such a nice job. Wow, these are... Oh, there's actually the pullback springs and stuff I can see. Oh yeah, Mr. Hammer, you're a stunner. Oh yes, if only I'd entered this one. Again, there's something for art at school. Man, I would have got top prize. This is actually beautiful to look at. It's actually a lot of fun smacking into those. And a very artistic looking one here. Look at that there. If you tried to do that, you know, purposefully, you probably never pull it off, but Mr. Hammer has done a spectacular job. The planes somehow held together a little bit better than the cars. Maybe it's because it's their design. I've got to say something here, or else people just say I'm just doing this to wreck stuff. But I think we can just see just how shoddy these toys are. These are just complete rubbish. And as I've said so often, Disney cars, I mean, look at the bottom of that car. Disney cars and planes seem to have some of the worst knockoff toys, and I think, you know, this is a classic illustration of it. Goodbye, good riddance. Disney planes knockoff toys can sometimes present some of the worst that I've seen about, but there's also other examples of some very impressive ones as well. I'm just showing you some here that we'll see in future episodes. If you're not careful, you can easily be trapped. Maybe if I said like that, it's when you read a line like that, okay, you're dealing with the dark side. Things like this, to me, it's very obvious you're not dealing with a licensed toy, but I still see people buy this stuff. It's quite amazing. Something like this could quite easily trick you occasionally you'll see them go to extreme lengths to present this stuff with holographic stickers and stuff, and unless you know exactly where to look, you may easily be fooled into buying what is a knockoff toy, thinking it's a real one. I'll finish off this episode and I'm going to ask a question about this plane right here. Okay, I'm going to talk you through this model. I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for it. I'll just tell you what it does and doesn't do. Obviously the propeller spins. It's made of metal. It's actually quite a heavy model. It's got a bit of an antenna thing there. It's got those markings on the back. Underneath, it's got like a pullback set of wheels. It's got like a little wheel at the back here. I think there's a sound maker thing in here. It takes batteries as well. Underneath, the wings are painted like that, looking on both sides. Okay, looking all around the model here. Go back up to the top here again, looking at the cockpit area. The eye detailing, looking very carefully. And the other side here, I want to show you all sides of this. Now, what's your thoughts about this model here? Are we dealing with a dark side Dusty, or are we dealing with a real one? What's your thoughts? Yes, sometimes it can be extremely difficult, especially if you're purchasing this toy online. It'd be near impossible to understand what you're dealing with here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I better leave this one here. As always, thanks for watching and fly for now. There goes Rusty. Okay, this will be a little piece of end of video trivia. I know lots of people are curious about the Silly Sludge, Silly Slime, and where does it go after I do a blast. Well, I do try to recover as much as possible. In the Krusty blow-up, I actually used 2 full tubs, and I was able to inject that inside him, and of course there's the wreckage of Krusty, Rusty, Dusty. That was the magic powder that I recovered. I used that basically to plug the holes. What I noticed is that basically the Silly Sludge Slime and Magic Poo sort of don't talk to each other. They don't really want to mix, so I don't know what that's telling us material science-wise, what's different between those 2 items. Mind you, it does look super real when it's been in the Silly Sludge. It gets very slimy looking. Let's take a look how much I've recovered. Remember, I used 2 full tubs when I filled up Krusty, Dusty, Busty. Okay, get that in there. Hopefully there's no air voids. Looks a bit gross when I do that, doesn't it? But just suppose you like it like that. Okay, I'd say, well, because there's a lid, I'd say it actually got, I can put some of that into the other one. I've sort of, just about lost the whole tub, if that makes any sense. So there's a full tub there. There is no air voids in that, boys and girls, just making sure. Okay, that's full. And what I've lost, surprisingly, or sort of no surprise, is, well, nearly a full tub of that stuff there. Yes, it does have you thinking, it has me thinking, where has it gone? Sure, there's little bits and bobs of it still here if I look closely, and if I did pick this completely, I would get some more, but put it this way, there's not a whole tub of it left on the wreckage of the plane. Maybe it's best for the audience to explain to me, where has the Silly Sludge gone?